you usually yell out Dinner in Hell Band at pretty soon in the song.
Dinner in Hell Band.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to be real for a minute and say that we ended the last episode on a little bit of a downer.
Yeah, kind of this tone.
Yeah, that's kind of real. We try not to usually do that, but like, this is real bad.
Yeah, we're trying to avoid that tone on this episode. But yeah, episode 43, part 2 of volume 2 of the Nazi series, covering the Holocaust.
This is episode 44.
That's what I'm saying. Last episode we covered part 2.
Yeah, yes, last episode.
I can explain it all over again if you like.
So numbers, they're sequential. I got you. So yeah, last episode, part 2, we talked about the logistics, basically, sort of the setup for their whole operation, and along the timeline, the circumstances that led to what we're going to talk about today.
And what show will we be talking about that on?
Welcome back for another exciting edition of the Dinner in Hell podcast, the podcast where two amateur historians talk about the atrocious underbelly of history. I am one of your co-hosts, Brad the Impaler, and with me, as always, Ronson Maiden.
You been going to freaking announcer classes at night?
No.
Not telling me?
We had some of our pregame was game show talk, and I think it's just creeping in on me there.
Holy shit. You're like a pro now. I would be like amateur historian pro announcer.
Thank you.
You'd be doing freaking Oakland University basketball games in no time.
That would be a better job than I have now.
Welcome back, Golden Bear fans. Shit. Dinner in Hell, like you said. We are going to close out this Nazi Holocaust volume.
Hell yeah.
This is a mother effort.
Yeah, boy, can I tell you, and you especially in the studio audience, who have been here for 3 straight weeks.
Don't lie.
2 straight weeks.
Yeah, the other week, no one was here.
Well, they were just locked out.
Part 1 of the thing, there's no audience.
Yeah, the first week they had to camp. They've been weird. Locked in the studio since.
But here we are, closing out that Nazi Holocaust series. We talked about how the Jews were persecuted. We talked about the Night of Glass, Broken Glass, Kristallnacht, Volume 1, Part 1. Last episode, we talked about Jews actually boarding trains, going to camps.
Yep, we saw the beginning, sort of the genesis of the physical repression of the Untermenschen, the people the Nazis deemed inferior.
So now we're going to be going right to like World War II. Tommy guns.
Yes.
Airplanes. That was real sound from my mouth.
Yeah, that was well done.
No sound effects.
Like Michael Winslow over there.
Yeah, I'm like, I tried out for police academy. They're like, you're too white.
Yeah.
The role is a black man. God damn it. He does that stupid shit. We've got you surrounded. That machine gun. And they're trapped in a cop car.
Uh-huh.
We're talking about Police Academy, you guys.
That's a good movie. I still, every once in a while, it'll just pop into my head randomly. What happened to Steve Guttenberg? What is he doing?
I turned on 3 Men and a Baby the other day. Steve Guttenberg's standing there talking. He's in it.
Were you like, what the hell happened
I'm
to
like,
Steve Guttenberg?
What the fuck? Yeah, he was in Cocoon, I think, too.
That might have been his last role.
Cocoon, all the cocoons. So when you think in Holocaust, think Steve Guttenberg. That's what we're trying to get at. Steve Guttenberg's like, you realize how many of my ancestors were perished in that fucking Holocaust? That's a direct quote from his management.
Yeah, Gutenberg doesn't sound like a Jewish name.
Allegedly.
We'd have to talk to a solicitor.
So let's get serious. Let's get focused. Take me.
Yeah, so like you said, World War II well underway. This is after the point when Adolf Hitler has made the dumb mistake of starting a land war with Russia, which you will always lose. Those are the breaks, folks.
Everybody knows.
Historical breaks.
You don't do land war with Russia. You just don't do that.
Yeah, what the Russians refer to as General Winter is like they have a whole other army, and it's the weather. and you can't deal with it.
Didn't the Afghanis hold off the Russians in the mountains, or no?
Yeah, but you can't go into
On land?
Russia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't attack them.
Hell no.
Russia traditionally has been not good outside of World War II. Or, pre-Soviet Russia was not good on the attack, but Russia's always been devastating on defense. You just can't. There's just too much space, and they're willing to burn all the crops and shit, so you have nothing to subsist off of. Then winter comes, you can't move, you die.
Russia.
Yeah,
Okay.
So Hitler's made this mistake, and some of this is in the build up to it, but eventually they start losing territory as well.
Hey, before we go any further, I want to challenge you.
Challenge me.
You've already said the AH name twice. I want to know if you can do the rest of the episode without saying his name.
Yes, easily.
Okay.
Yeah, because fuck him, right?
Yeah. I mean, you guys all know who he is.
Yeah, so
challenge accepted.
What he had done was, in the propaganda, Nazi Germany had characterized the war between Germany and Russia as not only a war between nation states, but also a war between ideologies and a war between races. They characterized, the Bolshevik Party is in charge of the Soviet Union, led by Joseph Stalin at this point. They characterized the Soviet Bolshevik ideology as inherently Jewish.
Because it was communist?
Yes.
Yeah.
They said communism is Jewish.
Because
fascism,
Marx came up with it.
Yeah, fascism or our National Socialism is German or Aryan.
I think we covered that Marx logic or whatever you want to say in the first part of the series.
Yeah, and one key effect of that is that in such a war where you don't believe you're fighting against humans, you don't treat the people that you're fighting like humans.
Right.
So it really was a war of extermination, and you'll come to see exactly how manifest that becomes. Now, there were units of the SS known as the Einsatzgruppen, and they were built specifically for the purpose of eradicating the Jewish population of the occupied Soviet Union and occupied Poland. Now, they were mobile. So these are like the mobile version of concentration camps. And they would conduct pogroms that would kill large numbers of Jewish people.
Like where they pull up and dig a huge ditch? Like on a train car or something? Like,
well,
how is it mobile? Like, was it because there was different ways that they killed them? Were these all gunshot?
Yeah, at this point in time, it is conducted mostly by firing squad. I mean, with machine guns, generally speaking. I mean, we'll get at the end of this section. We'll get to a very specific example of what this looked like. But for the meantime, basically, they were just mobile units, meaning they either marched around or rode on trains and then marched, or the German army by World War II was pretty heavily mechanized. They may have driven most of the way. So what they would do is they'd go into a small town. It'd be like, okay, who are all the Jewish people here? And rather than rounding them up and marching them however far to a train, they would just take them out of sight and shoot them all.
Yeah.
Now, another key component of the pogroms like this that were carried out in the occupied Poland and Soviet Union were that local populations would form militias and commit these atrocities all on their own. So they hated Jewish people enough to turn on their neighbors immediately.
It's like mob mentality freaking mixed with...
Or fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, well, fuck, like, then this horrible nightmare, the Wehrmacht is, like, rolling in on us right now. Like, maybe our only chance at survival is selling out the Jewish people around here.
Look how many we killed. We're good. We're good at it. We hate them, too.
Yeah, don't put us in the camps. Fucking that could have been the driving force behind some of that behavior too, but I don't want to let any of these people off the hook.
Yeah.
Now, Lithuania, Latvia, and the Ukraine were all places that saw this type of behavior, the local militias forming and participating in the just wholesale murder of their Jewish populations, along with, other groups that whatever their particular local breed of the fascist ideology found detestable. Yeah, I mean, Romania is a good example of that kind of behavior. They were horrible with this shit. They were given direct orders to exterminate Jews in the territories that they controlled, like sort of the Nazi allied faction, Probably the worst, even worse than the Romanians, were the Ustasi militias in Croatia. They were like, hey, like Mussolini, Nazi leadership, we're just going to declare like a fascist state in Croatia and be allies. Like, you guys cool with that? And they were like, sure, go ahead. So that's what they did, and they attempted to, take over control of the entire country, and they committed their very own, like, little miniature Holocaust on the Serbians.
So much Holocaust.
Yeah, I mean, it was
you just mentioned
horrifying, dude.
This is like the 4th or 5th country now, including Germany, Romania, Lithuania, Latvia, and the Ukraine. That's 5 different countries all having Holocaust activity.
Yeah, dude, totally.
Dinner in hell.
It was all over Europe. Anywhere any of the fascist governments had any control, I mean, they were doing this everywhere.
Do you think this could ever happen again?
Yep.
Okay, moving on. Conspiracy theory button. Ignite.
Now, one other thing that stands out about those Ustasis in Croatia is that they did all of this completely out in the open. I mean, like, you've probably seen some so far and will become clear. The Nazis specifically attempted to conceal this.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a total secret by any stretch of the imagination. Everybody knew that the Jews were being persecuted. But the extent, like the magnitude of what they were doing was something that they were desperately trying to keep quiet.
Like the Nazis would put them inside brick-walled building structures, like away from sight. The ovens, the gas, everything was all concealed.
Yeah, it was all concealed, and everything was tried to keep secret. This was not the case in Croatia. They were like doing it in like the town square.
Yeah, like everybody line up.
Yes, yeah. I mean, just showing an exceptional sort of different facet of the brutality of the fascist ideology. Going after the Serbs. There's many Romani people in Romania too. I mean, as you may have guessed. Sadly, there were more before this than there were afterwards.
That's all I think of when I think of Romania is Romanis, right?
Yeah, but dude, a lot of them got killed.
Yeah.
Now, we said we were going to talk sort of specifically about these death squad kind of pogroms, and perhaps the very worst example of these, figure we got to go for the worst one. We're on dinner in hell here.
You're starting with the worst.
And a word that, I didn't know the ins and outs of this before I did this research, but I had heard this mentioned, in passing, and that is a little valley called Baba Yar.
Is this the one where they marched the big group down? They're like, we're relocating you.
Yeah.
Okay, go. Yeah. This is awful. Get ready, people.
Okay, so we talked about the Einsatzgruppen, we talked about the Wehrmacht, and we've talked about the local militias. Those are the players in this. Much less so in this case, the local militias, but the Sixth Army of the Wehrmacht and the Einsatzgruppen of the SS are at play here. These are the perpetrators. Now, Baba Yar is a valley or a ravine that's outside of the city of Kiev in modern-day Ukraine. On September 29th and culminating on September 30th, 33,771 Jews, I mean, we're talking all people here, men, women, children, grandma, grandpa,
neurodivergent.
Yeah, they would have been in there probably with the Jewish people, but you didn't have to be both. You qualified with either or.
Friggin' Jehovah's Witness. Throw some of them in there.
Mm-hmm.
Sprinkle a few of them in there.
Yeah. So what happened was they thought they were going to have to go house to house and round everybody up, but they put up signs on the 29th all around Kiev that basically said, all the Jewish people of Kiev, you are being resettled outside of Kiev. Bring with you all of your valuable possessions. Also bring with you warm clothes and, like a snack, basically. And, like, the rest of the sign was, if you get caught looting these houses, you'll be shot. And if you're a non-compliant Jewish person in Kiev, you'll be shot too.
So, okay, wait, the reason you're telling me that is because I'm a Jewish person. I am thinking, I don't know about this relocation thing, but then they're saying, oh, no looting these empty houses while these Jews are out. Like, they're saying,
Yes.
Don't worry, Jews, your house will be safe while you're gone.
Yeah, or really the looting thing's for real, because a lot of this is motivated by them stealing all of the Jewish people's wealth to put into the war machine.
They said, though, take all your valuables with you like you're moving.
Yeah, it's the double whammy, but they also then get to have all the valuable possession. Yeah. But they thought they were going to have to go door to door, but basically everybody turned up after they saw the signs. They were convinced that it was an actual resettlement. I mean, this may have been the first time they'd encountered real persecution, and this was basically right away. So maybe they didn't know any better,
Yeah.
They didn't have a lot of experience with the Nazi representatives to go off of, probably. So they were taken via truckload after truckload of people to this ravine, the Babi Yar ravine. And I think the best way to really get across the message of what it would have been like to be there is through the accounts of a truck driver who was forced to take,
Okay. You're going to do it.
passage after passage.
You're going to do it in your trucker voice? Do it like on CB radio?
No, but I was going to do it in my Ukrainian accent.
Do that Ukrainian accent, you Ukraine bastard.
Yeah. Well, he says... I can't maintain it for this long and for this serious of a thing.
Can't do a Holocaust quote?
No, I can't do it on a Holocaust
Ukrainian
quote.
trucker accent?
I did consider it, but I'm not going to do it.
Can you do it for a bonus clip for after the show's over? Read the quote. There may or may not be a clip after the music ends of this episode of Brad doing this quote in his best trucker voice.
So here's him describing what happened at the most horrific pogrom outside of concentration camps that I could think of.
Which I imagine is hilarious. Go on. We've built it up this much.
Okay, so he described it thusly. Once undressed, they were led into the ravine, which was about 150 meters long and 30 meters wide, and a good 15 meters deep. When they reached the bottom of the ravine, they were seized by members of the Schutzpolizei and made to lie down on top of Jews who had already been shot. The corpses were literally in layers. A police marksman came along and shot each Jew in the neck with a submachine gun. I saw these marksmen stand on layers of corpses and shoot one after the other. The marksman would walk across the bodies of the executed Jews to the next Jew, who had meanwhile lain down, and shoot him.
Yeah. Stack them nice and neat to be disposed of. That's how they did it.
Yeah, and like I was torn.
Stripped nude, so they have to F with the clothes.
Or they used them.
The clothes?
Yeah.
Use them for what? Flammable?
It was like cloth repairs and shit. Like,
Oh, they just captive material?
yeah. That's what they were doing. Like, that's why they were pulling all their gold teeth out. So
And-
could trade.
They cut the women's long hair off.
I don't know if they were making wigs or stuffing, like, pillows with. I don't know what they were doing, but they basically fucking just took a whole group of people and converted them into slaves and livestock. It's fucking sick. It's totally sick.
They took every single chance for them to progress in any way, starting with their businesses, starting with their marriages were annulled or whatever, voided, down to they don't even have anything of value to trade for food. Like, they don't, they're like, oh, bring all your valuables, like a ring, a pocket watch, well, now they don't have a ring and a pocket watch. They have nothing. So they don't even have anything to, like, please take this for a loaf of bread. Like, they don't have anything. Like, they took every single chance of progression away.
And progressively.
Just suffocated them.
It was slow. Like, that's why this episode had to be so long.
Yeah.
Because it was so slow and it's so intricate. And it's a building process whereby which evil, has access to power and is able to systematically degrade and humiliate an entire race of people.
I mean, I was with the media department, the Dinner in Hell team. We just went through Google Images results, just Holocaust camp or whatever. And god damn, it's like they're all nude, skinny, just bones with skin.
Just like
Just
the most
starved.
abject misery you can even imagine.
Like there's one guy actually like covering his privates, but it's like seriously, like at that point, it's like I'm just meat here. Like,
yeah, it's
who gives a shit if my privates are covered or not for this picture? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is my end.
Yeah, and it's shit like that in those pictures that will really affect me too, because it, like, after a while you can go kind of numb to it when you're reading about it or looking at it, but when you notice something like that, like something so plainly human that you can relate to, that's when it really like twists the knife,
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit's tough to see, but it's important to, be aware of this. Yeah, looking at those pictures is tough. And, like, reading about Baba Yar, that's shit sucks too. But there is one good, like, sort of thing I can give all you Dinner in Hell listeners out there to look forward to. Remember when I told you about who, committed this shit? The Einsatzgruppen and the 6th Army of the Wehrmacht? Well, listen for a future Dinner in Hell episode where we'll talk about the 6th Army and what happens to them. If you like Schadenfreude and comeuppance, that'll be a good one to keep on the lookout for when we talk about the Battle of Stalingrad.
I think about Schadenfreude half the day probably. It's always on my mind.
At least 30% for me,
Schadenfreude, I put that shit on everything. Hamburgers, fries, whatever. It's good.
Schadenfreude, if you don't want us to advertise your hot sauce, then pay us, and the price.
What is Schadenfreude?
Schadenfreude is German for like the joy you get when people you don't like suffer.
Okay, thank you.
Like Schadenfreude is what I think of when I think of like celebrity gossip magazines where they talk about like who's like plastic surgery's fucked up. It's like you're kind of jealous of celebrities, so you like hearing about like bad shit happens to them.
I'm not really jealous of them. Brendan Fraser maybe, but that's about it. It's because he got paid so much money for Mummy 3. I don't know. No, it was George of the Jungle 2. He made remember we looked it up?
$19 million, some fucking
like,
crazy bullshit like that.
Who wouldn't do George of the Jungle 2?
Well, I don't think we're going to get much more exemplary than Baba Yar, so we could probably wrap up the death squad and the pogroms and move on to the extermination camps. Would you say?
Yeah, please do.
Well, so in the Nazi system proper, extermination camps, which you could characterize them by their primary means of death for the internees. So for labor camps, the primary reason people there would die would be because they were worked to death. They'd die of exhaustion. Extermination camps, on the other hand, are thus named because the primary mode of death there is industrial genocide, like a mechanized type of, murder machine.
Factory.
Yeah, death factory, basically. And the way this was accomplished in the 8 extermination camps that the Nazis had was by the use of the poison gas Zyklon B.
Yeah.
Or diesel exhaust.
Either one.
Either one. They would have either pellets of Zyklon that they would release into the chambers, which would then react and then fill it with gas. Or the other option was the chambers would be filled up with the exhaust from a stationary diesel engine.
Oh my God. I think one of them was quicker and no convulsions. Like Zyklon, you would die with faster with no convulsions, but the diesel one was not as peaceful.
That is absolutely correct. I mean, the one sort of saving grace, if you're going to die, what do we always say?
Die with your boots on. Oh, wait. I thought, what does Iron Maiden always say? Peace of
Not
mind.
Iron Maiden.
It's a Peace of Mind album.
Iron Maiden.
Iron.
Not Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden. What does Ron Maiden say? We always say quick. Quick.
Oh, what do I say? Oh, okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
We want to go quick.
Quick death, please. Hang me, slice my throat, something. Gunshot.
Nice and fast. At least Zyklon B was fast. I mean, there's no signs of convulsions, which it's almost stupid to say that it's even like a remotely good thing after the amount of suffering these people had already gone through up until the very last moment. But I'm trying to grab at anything that's a little tiny bit of sunshine here, because this shit is fucking dark, man.
I'm about to make it darker. Yeah, the Zyklon B was fast, Brad, but the months and weeks leading up was an eternity.
Now, there's a particular reason why this method was developed, and it was developed first at Auschwitz. That's where the initial experimentation occurred.
Yeah. Watch it. Yeah, he's still under challenge.
When the leader of the SS witnessed their earlier method of these mass, killings, which was gunfire. All of it used to be done by gunfire. That was how they did it before they developed the use of the gas.
Man, we're fucking going through so many bullets. We need these bullets to fight freaking Ruskies.
Yeah, so when the SS top man was in the camps, he witnessed one of these and was, fucking horrified by the carnage of it.
And the leader of the SS is like, why so glum? Killing Jews got you down? We gotta stop this killing, this shooting crap.
Yeah, he could...
That's my impression of the leader.
That's a good German accent.
Hey! It's really bumming my guys out. I thought they had stronger stomachs, but... what do you say we just gas them?
The leader of the SS that we're describing here, too, used to be a chicken farmer, I believe.
That's my leader of the SS.
That's your German chicken farmer accent.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, he also noticed that this was taking a horrifying psychological toll on the SS, which is something that I think a lot of people might miss about this whole story. And, wait, they were horrified by shooting them and, it affected them psychologically?
Ending life after life over and over?
Yes, because the Nazis were not monsters. They were people, human beings.
There's people that can't even work at a slaughterhouse and cut cow throats all day. Someone has to do that shit. You know what I mean? They hang them up by their back leg and they cut them. And it's awful. There's people that can't do that. So you're trying to tell me that any old Nazi can just plug bullets into like human lives.
Hundreds and thousands of them.
Like, come on.
Defenseless children and shit. And
That's messed up.
Because I think, like, at least I know I did when I was growing up, I had this impression of the Nazis as inhuman monsters.
Yeah, like they're all like from movies and shit. They're all evil.
They're all evil. They're all like unstoppable, grim killing machines. But you asked me earlier if I think that this could ever happen again. And I think the reason why that's even a question is because there's this perception of them as monsters, which they're not. They're people.
Well, yeah, you got the Taliban out there cutting heads off on camera and shit. There's humans out there that can do this shit still.
All that's inhibiting this from happening again is, well, modern weaponry makes this kind of conventional war almost impossible to have.
Remote-controlled drone shit.
Yeah, but aside from that, I don't think anybody in the world has that much power.
Yeah.
I mean, you have people like Kim Jong-il who might like to use it, or honestly, I think there's a lot of people who would want to use that kind of military power if they could get away with it.
Yeah.
But people are vigilant. We've seen what war looks like. You can watch the videos of it. We don't want that shit anymore. Mm-hmm. The people won't allow it, and life's not that shitty most places. So people aren't willing to do it. But it can happen because they're people. Because they were horrified by this. It's like you can imagine people would be horrified by this. They were too, but it didn't stop them. They were still doing it.
Yeah. So when you were saying, oh, one thing you can take away from this, I thought you were going to go with, if you look at the bright side, the leader of the Nazis was compassionate about his men being traumatized by this.
No,
like,
fuck all of them.
He's like, hey, you got to admit, that was nice of the man to take the blood off his men's hands.
Yeah, fuck, dude. I guess, but I don't.
I'm just kidding.
The fact I'm not trying to take away any guilt from them when I say they're not monsters. I want to make it clear that we need to be vigilant against this.
Right.
Because it was people. People can do it. People did it before. People might do it again.
They're going to come for your guns. Be ready. It's going to be right after they get your guns. Then it's coming. The wave. Conspiracy button. Ignite.
Buy our water filters.
We sell dinner in hell duct tape and plastic wrap for your house. In case of a chemical warfare outside.
We make these special ultra-thin metal helmets that'll keep CIA signals out of your brain.
We also have dinner in hell aluminum phone cases that'll block out the CIA from tracking and listening to your phone.
Yeah, the NKVD is not getting in there.
So check our web store, dinnerinhell.com. Thank you. Good night. Just kidding.
All right, so let's go back. Let's go back in time.
Oh shit, Bill and Ted.
So here's what a typical day might look like at one of these places.
Oh, can't wait. Here we go.
So the victims would arrive to the camp almost universally via train. You can go back to part 2 and check that out if you want to hear a detailed description of what their trips were like. Needless to say, it was very terrible. At most of the extermination camps. So let's imagine it's a spring morning. A little chilly. Like a stiff morning wind is rolling across the Polish plain.
I hear a deer, like a buck, up yonder on the hill, whistling for a mate.
Yeah, there's the trains.
Over the sound of the train.
Mm-hmm.
Steam lets out, air brake lets out.
Now, finally...
Door opens, swings open.
Finally, after how many hours, how many cramped.
71 hours because you had low priority over the shipments that came before you. Don't forget.
Yeah, I mean, one trip on this rail line could last as long as 18 days. It's 150 people to a car. So these cars are opening up for the first time in probably days, and there's people spilling out. Maybe already 15 to 20% of these people are already dead.
So imagine the smell that comes spilling out when that door opens.
Yeah. And there's no bathrooms.
Right. So you got poop, you got bodily fluids, you've got death.
People who may have been dead 4 days.
Sickness with like throwing up.
Yes.
All kinds of smells coming out of there.
People are already, these trains may have been coming from ghettos. These people are already emaciated. They're already fucked up. They're already sick. They're already abused to no end. They're shambling out of these fucking train cars. And at most of the camps, it was straight from the train car to the execution chamber. They would be, shuttled off towards these large brick buildings. And the SS guards who were manning the camps would explain, like, okay, like now you're at this camp. Everything's fine, but you just have to take a shower first.
Delousing.
Yeah, it's either a shower or delousing. And even more insidiously, the guards that are around you are, maybe for the first time in your experience, treating you pretty well. They're nice. They will sort of crack little jokes or make small talk. They'll, one particularly sick bit of this that I encountered is that they would give like fake news and updates about family members who had arrived before them. So imagine like you knew that 2 weeks earlier your friend got put on a train and sent here, and you ask because they're being so nice. You're like, so what about?
Can I go see him?
Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
he's in here. He's doing great. Yeah. They'd say shit like that to him.
He's doing just fine. He's putting on weight.
Mm-hmm. Now, they would also, politely insist the elderly or the, disabled or very young children with undressing in front of everyone so they could get into the showers. Now, you may see some people around you looking agitated or nervous or jumpy. Now, these people would be approached and very kindly escorted away.
Suspicious. Yeah.
Yeah, by SS.
Because we're being walked into like showers.
Yeah.
I don't know if you said that.
Yes. Yeah. So you're seeing these people be led away, and it's because the SS officers are trained to recognize people who might know or guess what's actually happening, and they would take them out of line and, walk them around the corner so they're out of sight and, execute them with gunfire so that there wasn't a panic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the people wouldn't be too difficult to, herd, like, to the slaughter.
I heard even worse. Those guards would go like to one of those guys that are about to get killed, and he'd be like making like future plans with them and shit. He's like, look, this shit's about to be over. What do you say after this delousing shower, you and I go fishing? I got a lake house. We're going to go. I heard that was like it was one of the worst details that I heard too. After yours.
Yikes. Yeah, that's fucked up, man. Like
they would do that.
Everything is more fucked up than the last thing.
I swear to God, after this delousing shower, we're all going to go have a barbecue. We got a blow-up tent, like a blow-up jump house.
I got a Dave & Buster's gift card. I think it's got like $6 left on it still.
That's one of the Dinner in Hell facts that people don't ever really talk about in history is those kind of promises they were making.
Mm-hmm.
Wait till you see Avengers. It's going to blow your mind. I got it on Blu-ray.
Yeah. So another thing that you would see, as you're being led inside, is if they told you it was delousing powder, mothers with infants would take the infants and they would try to hide them under piles of clothes because they're like, fuck this delousing powder. Like, this is an infant baby.
Yeah.
They didn't need to worry about the delousing powder, though, because once everyone was inside, and the guards would stay inside with the people until everybody was in, reassuring them, like, hey, yeah, it's just a shower. Don't worry about it. Not that big of a deal. But as soon as everyone was inside, all the SS troops would go outside, shut the door, and then the Zyklon B would be introduced. And at least it was quick. Almost everyone died basically instantly with the Zyklon B. That is not the case with the diesel engines. When the diesel engines were used, it could take as long as 33 minutes for the last person inside the chamber to die. I mean, imagining just like hacking as the fumes built up for that long. Fucking goddamn. I can't believe it was done. I can't believe it was done.
Yeah.
And when my grandparents were alive.
Yep.
It was 2 generations ago. There's no time. There's no time at all.
One of our most recent Dinner in Hell topics. 1940s.
Mm-hmm. Now, after the executions, or, in the utmost cruel cases, sometimes the fillings or the hair being removed, like we discussed earlier, sometimes that would be done beforehand. I don't know why, but I guess they just wanted to be worse. Now, originally, victims at these camps were all buried in mass graves. But, as the leadership who had clamored the most loudly for this solution, as they saw sort of what it looked like, they became way less enthusiastic. And again, I don't mean to mitigate any of the guilt of these people, but I'm just trying to emphasize that these are people. People can do shit like this. Now, originally, victims of these camps were buried in mass graves, but as the leadership saw how fucked up it was, they started to understand that it was possible that other people would see or find these things. And around this period of time as well, after this extermination camps had been in operation, they had started to lose territory. The Soviet Union was advancing from the east, and Britain, America, the other allies were advancing from the west.
So that means they're getting territory that has mass graves in it that are being left behind?
No, this is what motivates them to order the mass graves all dug up and burned. And then after this period of time in the extermination camps, they instituted crematoriums. That's when they started burning the victims immediately after the gassing. Yeah, because they started to realize that other people might understand, like they were trying to cover their crimes.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, they're trying to make it not look so bad.
I get it.
I don't know what the fuck they were gonna say when somebody asked where 2/3 of the Jewish population of Europe went, where 90% of the Jewish population of Poland went. I don't know how they were ever gonna hide that, but I guess they didn't want us to see the pictures that are everywhere.
Man.
Yeah, so and of course, it can't be left out that the labor at these camps was all slave labor. They would pick out the occasional individual from the incoming, internees. And, one of the Jewish, Slavic, Rabbani, communist, neurodivergent, disabled, asocials, black people, or Jehovah's Witnesses. And they would make them, move all the bodies, put them in the crematoriums. Yeah.
Dig them up and do it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is all slave labor that did this. So, and as soon as they died...
They want to traumatize his Nazi men.
Yeah. Then when they would die, they would just pick out someone new to replace them.
Ugh.
It's like, fuck, man. Talk about, it's like out of the frying pan into the fire. Because you know you're not getting out alive. You may as well fucking get it over with quickly. But fuck. That shit blows.
Those guys had such a strong will to live. Don't you think after you're down to like 78 pounds, like 300 calories a day, you'd be like, just kill my ass?
Yeah, but just like to keep going. But I mean, I guess if you say no, they might torture you.
Jump out of a window. Something.
And it's probably not the 78-pound guy that they're picking out of line to do it. It's probably somebody they just like grab from the countryside or some shit. But still, like fucking, I'd rather just die right immediately, because that would just be horrible to have to work through that. Like, that's your last couple weeks, you know? Fuck that.
Yeah.
That's even worse. Now, here's like the real shit. Like, here's the numbers. Here's the like full breakdown of, you know, these crimes. You've heard them before, but we need to be reminded of them. In this Holocaust, the Nazi Party is responsible for the deaths of 5.93 million Jewish people, 3 million Soviet POWs, 1.8 million Polish people, 150,000 disabled people, 220,000 Romani people, 15,000 homosexuals, 2,500 Jehovah's Witnesses. And I mean, you mix in sort of the further odds and ends, and this is a murder of about 15 million people, probably. 15
million deaths. So let me ask you this. Dinner in Hell trivia.
Okay.
Are the Nazis responsible for the most deaths in our Dinner in Hell series thus far?
I think they're second.
What episode is responsible for the most human death?
The plague, I think.
Yeah. Google result was said between 75 and 200 mil. Black Death. Black Death can't be beat so far. Dinner in Hell champs. Sorry, Nazis.
May it never be.
Sorry, Nazis. Shit. Just a real quick one, though. We also covered Pompeii, Mount Vesuvius. What do you think Google said?
Tens of thousands?
2,000.
Yeah, but they haven't excavated all the way down to the coastline.
Right.
Yet. Yeah.
Keep digging, son of a bitch.
I remember that episode pretty well. Plus, our correspondents just got back from there. All right, so that's it. That's how fucked up this is. And I think for the final segment, we should talk about what exactly the Liberators saw. We'll hear the words of somebody who liberated one of these camps. Yeah, now, they were trying to destroy all the evidence, but you know how a war is. There's big offensives. They break through. They advance in unexpected places. So a lot of places they were able to completely dismantle and destroy all the records, destroy as much evidence as they could. But other places were captured basically completely untouched. And the Nazis, with famous German efficiency, were very meticulous record keepers.
Speaking of meticulous, on the last episode, part 2, episode 43, you invented a word, a Dinner in Hell new word. Was it meticulous?
Yeah, I did say meticulous.
At the end of the episode, Brad says they were very meticulous.
Yeah, I meant meticulous, which I repeat now.
And you also wanted to say articulate?
Yeah, those two words just got jumbled in my brain.
Hey, if you want to use that word, feel free. Just send Brad $5.
Yeah, copyright, patent pending.
On the $5 bill with pen. Thank you for letting me use this new great word, meticulate.
And we'll get them out there. I'll spend them. Trust me.
I swear to God, your bedroom better be articulate.
Yeah.
Okay, got
So once we get all these fives in circulation, boom, like it's a thing. It'll be a thing.
So the Nazis were very meticulous.
Yeah. So let's go back again to April 11th, 1945, and hear about what United States Private First Class Harry Herder saw. He recalls their tanks driving over 3 electrified barbed wire fences of Buchenwald.
What's Buchenwald? The camp name?
The extermination camp. So he first noticed a horrible smell and black smoke rising from a big-ass chimney on a small, low building in the distance.
It smells like Cyclone B, goddammit.
Mm-hmm.
My nose is burning.
Well, see, he didn't know any of it. Nobody knew what this shit was. Especially he was a private, so he's low rank. They didn't tell him jack shit. As a matter of fact, when his unit rolled in, they were expecting a firefight. He was a bazooka, a second bazooka man. So he was just carrying a shitload of bazooka rounds, and his job is to just follow the bazooka guy. So they were expecting a gunfight when they rolled in.
It looked active because of the smoke in the sky.
Yeah, and they're rolling in on tanks, busting over barbed wire fence. They're assaulting this position is what they're doing. Now,
but then people are like coming out. Like,
so they jump off the tanks when they're in the center of the square, and when they're expecting a firefight
of Nazis,
he sees people start to emerge from buildings and in between and behind bushes and from hiding.
Don't kill, don't shoot.
Yeah, these feeble, ghostly, emaciated people walking toward him, struggling to lift their hands up to show them that they're not armed. And I mean, he knows he doesn't need any of the machinery he's brought with him to deal with these people.
Yeah, he can just like blow them down. Timber.
He was, God. Yeah, at least.
Hey, that's Herder's words, dude, not mine.
At least these particular people were liberated. They lived to see this. But he was initially set to guard a hole in the perimeter fence. And he began to see people who were, extremely battle-hardened, like veterans of lots of battles, like visibly upset, shaken, like losing it, kinda.
Throwing up.
Yeah, and his superior officer walked over to him and the other guy that he was guarding the hole with, and he ordered them, to go clear the camp, like go through, building to building and inspect it, make sure there's, clear it of hostiles.
Mm-hmm.
And his words when he does this are, go and have a look until your stomach can't take it anymore, and then go for a walk in the woods.
Yeah, don't let anyone see you puke. God damn it.
Yeah, so he recalls walking through a gate.
If you puke and one of our guys sees you puke, then he's gonna puke. Then everyone's gonna puke, and then all the prisoners are gonna be puking. We're gonna be up to our boot heels.
Yeah, it'll be puke. Like a 1995 teen comedy's worth of puke chain reactions.
Just like a fountain, like a Guar concert.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what could a freaking Holocaust prisoner puke though? Nothing. Air.
Yeah.
Pain.
Ooh.
Sorrow.
Yeah, basically.
I just threw up 3 times. What? Nothing come out. Sorrow came out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so good old Harry, Private Harry. He turns down a path or a road in this camp, and to use his exact words, the bodies of human beings were stacked like cordwood, all of them dead, all of them stripped. The inspection I made of the pile was not very close, but the corpses seemed to be all male. The bottom layer of the bodies had a north-south orientation, the next layer went east-west, and they continued, alternating. The stack was about 5 feet high, maybe a little more. I could see over the top. They extended down the hill, only a slight hill, for 50 to 75 feet. Human bodies neatly stacked, naked, ready for disposal. The arms and legs were neatly arranged, but an occasional limb dangled oddly. The bodies we could see were all face up. There was an aisle, then another stack, and another aisle, and more stacks. The Lord only knows how many there were. Just looking at these bodies made one believe they had been starved to death. They appeared to be skin covering bones and nothing more. The eyes on some were closed, on others opened. Bill, Tim, and I grew very quiet. I think my only comment was, Jesus Christ. I can't even imagine seeing anything like that, dude. That shit would haunt me for fucking ever.
Yeah.
And just like the like vivid description of how it's done logistically is like fucking like so banal. It's like the banality of evil. That's like a perfect way to think about it, because like somebody had to sit and think about like what's the best way to stack up like fucking 30,000 dead bodies.
I was thinking, what's the point of stacking them in such a staggered and like perfect way unless you had a forklift? I mean, otherwise you're gonna have to unstack them. Or is that just to keep them from falling over and keeping them organized while they're just sitting there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for once on this show, I think I'm kind of glad I don't have the information to answer that question.
Yeah. Let's just let the listener look that shit up.
I mean, it was probably... Yeah, it was probably so they could keep track of the numbers, because, like, these numbers are fucking Nazi numbers. That's where they know this. All these numbers are from their own records. It's like fucking... It's probably they had to count them or... make sure they searched them all sufficient, got all their shit. Fucking maybe it was easier to transport them to the crematoriums or whatever they were going to burn the bodies. I mean, there's any number of reasons. And just like thinking like, well, we better make an aisle here so we can walk through. It's like brings the whole, it like anchors the whole thing in reality in a really sick way. Yeah, so that's basically it. That's the Holocaust. What did you guys think out there, dinner and hell audience?
Holy cow, that is a lot of Nazi talk.
Yeah, that's it. But, you know, it's important to remember. I think a key way to wrap up the whole sort of theme of the thing is a quote by Ian Kershaw, who wrote a book specifically about everyday Germans, not specifically like Nazi soldiers, their experience of World War II and the Holocaust. And he described most Germans as indifferent to the persecution of Jews and vaguely aware of the genocide, but they didn't like want it. They weren't clamoring for it, but they didn't really care that it was happening either. They're like, oh yeah, but they were heavily invested in the outcome of the war. They were real fucking dialed into that, but they didn't give a shit about the Jews.
It's kind of like when you love meat, but you hate the idea of a slaughterhouse. Like you love eating meat. You're like, oh, I wish I didn't love meat so much.
Yeah.
Because you realize these Germans are like, I love being a German.
Yeah,
yes, we're killing people.
Yeah, but it's for the glory of the Reich.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they're not killing our own people. I mean, shit.
Yeah, that's basically was their attitude, I think. And this quote of his illustrates how it's always going to be our responsibility to remain vigilant and against this, because, like he says, the road to Auschwitz was built by hate, but paved with indifference.
Damn, it's 2 random church bells in one episode. We didn't even do God's fake bullshit bit.
Yeah, but I think if you can listen to any of this and still believe in God, I mean, I guess I admire your faith.
It's up to you. You have the choice. We're not saying don't. Right, Brad?
Yeah, go for it. I'm totally cool with it.
We don't want anyone to be mad at us.
No, I love all people.
We want
I'm not going to shit on your religion.
Thrilled with us.
Right? Yeah, I just don't think it's true. Sorry.
There he goes. He can't just let it go. Just let it go. Let people have their shit.
It's gone. Believe me, I don't want to take anybody's religion
There's
away.
probably something you're passionate about that some people don't get.
There's a lot of stuff I'm passionate about that nobody else gets.
Let people be.
Yeah, I'm cool with it, but I'd be lying if I said I thought it was true, so I don't say that.
I don't go preaching to people about Mexican giant musk turtles and the keeping of them in their habitats, like mine. I don't do that. Well, just keep it to yourself. Keep your interest to yourself.
Not until 5 seconds ago.
Hey, anybody wants to talk turtles? Twitter, Dinner in Hell, Ron Maiden, whatever.
Yeah. So if you want this podcast, now that you've heard our discussion on the Holocaust, to change over to talk about nothing but turtles, tweet at us at Dinner and Hell Pod with the hashtag Turtle Talk. I'll totally understand that.
We'll be covering Turtles of Belize. Episode 1.
Other places.
Turtle in Hell.
Turtle in Hell. Other places.
Turtle and Shell. Turtle and Shell. Today's episode, Belize region turtles.
Down.
The male will flick the female's beak. Like what? If you want to really look, we're gonna do a GoFundMe to get this turtle podcast going.
Yeah, we don't have time now, but of course, there's other places you can reach us, such as at dinnerandhell.com. You can email us at dinnerandhellpodcast@gmail.com. We are on Facebook, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Please don't forget to rate and subscribe on iTunes. And don't worry, the next episode will not be nearly as heavy.
Yeah, we'll switch gears. No Nazi shit for a while.
It'll probably still involve people dying, though.
Yes, there will be death. There will be some type of infection or death. Skin will be punctured some way.
Yeah, thank you all sincerely for listening to the show. We love you. Oh, shit. You know what? There was one iTunes review that we have to read.
Wait, no way. Here we go. There was a human out there with an actual human heart.
Now, this is
Nazi hating.
These are since that we put the call out there for reviews. So there are a few before this, but
okay.
Do it again if you want us to read it.
Is this good? Have you read it?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. I haven't heard this. I have zero expectations. It's going to be like, you guys fucked up big time when you were covering freaking
all right, so
Neuro.
This one is titled, I Learnt Me Something.
Okay.
What's up, Johnny Utah? OSU forever.
Okay.
I can't believe I learned something and had fun. How friggin' funny are these guys, BT dubs? I can't wait to listen to all the upcoming episodes. Thank you, Johnny Utah, but I gotta say it. Down with the Buckeyes.
BT.
Go blue.
BT dubs, by the way, right?
He typed BTW all in capitals.
That's by the way.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. I was just trying to put a little flavor on it.
Okay.
Sorry, Johnny. I was trying to read this how I felt like you would have said it.
Thank you for the review. And thank you for your passion.
And thank you to the audience, the band.
Oh, we did it. Same thing. Let's do it again. Thank you to the audience and the band. Wow. How about you go and I'll do you?
Thank you to the audience and to the band. Wow. Good night, everybody.